Yo, what's up guys? Aqua here. So today I wanted to go over how to perform the current skip with Freudia in Trauare stage. And this is not the fastest way to perform this skip, but it's the most consistent way to perform this skip from my experiences. So just in case anyone doesn't know, I'm going to quickly play this clip so you can see what the Trauare current skip looks like. Essentially, the idea behind this glitch here is that we're getting ahead of the camera and lodging ourselves into the ceiling in order to zip to this adjacent checkpoint room here. And so this skips a zigzag section at the end of that corridor and saves roughly 5 seconds, give or take. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here and go over all the visual cues and inputs that I use when performing this trick. So the first thing I do here is I'm going to slide down to this lower platform here. And so once I'm on this lower platform, I'm going to perform a jump and go down into this section here. So when I'm descending here, I'm going to continue to hold down the jump button. So when I perform this jump, it's going to be a full jump. From the moment I jump until I get to the very bottom of this room, I never let go of the jump button. And this definitely isn't required, but getting the full jump and holding down the jump button certainly helps with consistency for some reason. And it doesn't lose any time because you're required to do a full jump anyway, so there's no reason not to do it in my opinion. And so once we get down here, I'm going to hold down right in order to get Freudia hugging against this chain here. And once I have her against this chain, that's when I'm going to release the D-pad, and any further inputs, directional inputs, are not needed until we reach the bottom. But I'm going to keep holding down the jump button. So we're going to go down, 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 and when we get here, as you can see, the current naturally pushes Freudia to the left because of this little ceiling here. And so when this happens, that's when we want to start holding right. The timing of this is not tight at all, so as soon as you see yourself push left rather, you can start holding right. And this whole time I'm going to continue to hold the jump button as well. So here, from here on out, I'm going to hold down jump and right. So once you make it around this bend here, I'm going to let Freudia naturally get to the bottom of this room through gravity. And I'm going to start a slide. So this is when I can start letting go of the jump button. So I can perform a slide here. And this slide is not required, but what this does is it prevents the game from soft locking. So you can soft lock here if you aren't low enough. If you're above a certain point on the y-axis, for some reason the camera doesn't start following you. Some sort of camera trigger near the lower area of the screen. And so by sliding on the ground, this confirms that you've passed the camera trigger and the camera is going to start following you. So to know whether or not you've got the camera glitched or not, you can see Freudia's position here, which is slightly to the right of the screen. Normally, Freudia would be in the middle of the screen, but since we see here that she's slightly towards the right, that means we've got the camera glitched, and Freudia is officially ahead of the camera. So once she's ahead of the camera, and once you've done the slide, what you can do here is you can just start jumping, or rather swimming upwards. And I just tapped the jump button several times to get to the top of the screen, and this whole time I'm just holding right. And so once we get around here, there's this fish enemy here, and also this starfish here. What I like to do here is deboost either on the fish or the starfish. It doesn't really matter which one you deboost off of, but deboosting is important because it allows you to be in iframes while you pass through this set of spikes here. So once after getting deboosted, I'm going to start mashing the jump button in order to stay near the top of the screen. And so this is important because you want to make it around this bend here as soon as possible. If you allow the camera to catch up to Freudia, it will prevent you from getting the zip at the top of this screen here. And so by damage boosting and bypassing these spikes here, you're able to get through without losing any speed and letting the camera catch up to you. If you deboost off of these spikes, from my experience, it allows the camera to catch up with you and prevent you from getting the zip at the top of the screen. And the damaging on any of these are not required, but getting around these spikes and up quickly and optimally seems to be more difficult for me personally, at the very least. So I like to damage boost off of either of those enemies just to get through these spikes and up this area quickly as possible. So I'm going to keep holding down right, and I'm going to get myself lodged into the ceiling of this corridor here. And so at the top here, so this is the ceiling here, and you're going to get stuck in the ceiling here. And so once you're stuck in the ceiling, you're going to press left, and that's going to zip you right into this adjacent room here. And normally you're supposed to go left and do a little bit more of this room. But since this room is adjacent, we're able to just zip over to this room here. And that's all there really is to it. You just get stuck on the ceiling and press left. There's nothing else going on up here. And that pretty much covers the current skip in its entirety. There's nothing really else to it. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning and just show you the trick again while making some small pauses and some comments along the way. So you're going to perform a full jump here, and you're going to continue to hold down the jump button and stay on the right side of this chain here. And you're not going to press the D-pad after hugging the chain, and you're just going to let yourself fall while still holding down the jump button. After getting pushed by the ceiling here, you're going to hold down the right button. And by holding down the right button, you're going to get around this corner here. And once you get to the bottom, naturally, I'm just going to press the jump button and slide across the ground. This prevents any soft locking from happening. After the slide, we're just going to start jumping to the top. I'm going to deboost on one of these two enemies here, pass through these spikes, and keep continually jumping and get across, get around this bend as soon as possible. And I'm going to continue to hold right, lodge myself into the ceiling, press left, and that will zip us into the adjacent room. And that pretty much covers everything with the current skip and Trauare stage. Hopefully this video helps in some way, and we'll see you next time. See ya.